Today I'm going to give you some of the basics of Twitter and suggest some creative uses for it. First, we'll cover some of the basics like what it means to follow someone, the difference between a direct message, app messages, and retweets and hashtags. Then we'll move on to the things that make tweets a little more interesting, like tweeting links and multimedia. We'll also cover etiquette, classroom applications, clients and apps, and some cautions. So here are some of the basics. Twitter is an online social networking and microblogging service that enables its users to send and read text-based posts of up to 140 characters, informally known as tweets. The way that you get started is you pick a short name, preferably something close to your real name, fill out a bio, and that bio has to be 140 characters or less, and then upload a picture, preferably a real one so people know they're following a real person. One of the easiest ways to get started is to follow someone you know, and one of the people you know is me. So you can type in a message like @Danica Barker, just joined Twitter looking to connect, and hit the enter or send button. And we'll talk about what @messages mean shortly, but that will direct your tweet to my attention, and I'll know that you're looking to connect with other teachers. So what are the different kinds of tweets? Well, putting an @ sign in front of a person's Twitter handle or their username directs a message to their attention. These messages are public. Putting a D and then a space and then the person's name sends the message to them privately, but only if you are each following each other. When you retweet a message, you're essentially forwarding it to the people who follow you. You can also include media in your tweets, like website links. Most Twitter clients automatically shorten those links, but you can use a site like Bitly or tinyURL to shorten the link. Many smartphone apps are designed to interact with Twitter and often use a client like TwitPic to send images. You can also send sound clips or songs using a site like TinySong or Blip.fm. Now, hashtags are words with number signs in front of them that can be used to sort tweets. You may recall that Jack Layton famously brought the word hashtag to people's attention during the last federal election.
That's been a hashtag fail on this issue.
Mr. Ignatieff.
Hashtag fail is one example, but of course we can also use hashtags to follow important news events breaking on Twitter or to help us find people that we may be interested in following because we share similar interests. Now here's a little bit about Twitter etiquette. Following someone on Twitter is not the same as friending someone on Facebook. Just because someone follows you doesn't mean that you have to follow them back and vice versa. People use Twitter in different ways, so don't be offended if someone you follow doesn't follow you back. It's generally a good idea to avoid overly personal, religious, political, or mundane tweets, although I have been known to tweet about my breakfast before. It's also okay to share your accomplishments, but don't use Twitter to brag. Now, what could you use Twitter for in the classroom? Well, it can be used in a lot of different ways. You can use hashtags to track current events. You could use tweets to teach media literacy. For example, why might certain celebrities or companies have a presence on Twitter? You can also use it for creating a back channel discussion that people can follow using a hashtag. And you can use it to send homework reminders. But finally, you can do what I've done and use it for role-playing. 2 years ago, I thought it might be an interesting idea to try Twitter to role-play Hamlet. I wondered what would happen if we did role-play Hamlet in real time. What would we learn if we tried it? And what would the value be of actually trying this in the classroom with real students? So I created a website and I broadcast a message on Twitter and recruited a bunch of my followers to give it a try. Based on that, I revised the project a bit to try it in the classroom with my students. One of the things that I found out quickly was that the most interesting ideas were the ones that happened in the wings or between the scenes, as students tried to make connections between themes in the play, their characters' motivation, and what they understood about the plot, conflict, imagery, symbolism, and archetypal patterns in the play. I also learned that it worked out best if I set up the Twitter accounts myself. That way I had all the login and profile information and I could recycle those accounts each year. You can create multiple branch accounts off of one Gmail address, but you can usually only set up a certain number of Twitter accounts at a time from your IP address, so you usually have to spread that process out over a couple of days. Now, I was torn between creating a list for all of my students on Twitter or having my students use hashtags for this project. In the end, I went with a list so that people could then follow this list without having to follow each character. And the hashtags also limit the number of characters you can use in a tweet. There are lots of other ways that you can share these tweets beyond just sharing them on Twitter. You could share the lists like I've done, but you could also use a site like Storify to import the lists. Storify let me pick out some of the best tweets, it let me reorganize them, and it gave me the opportunity to share them in a link or to embed them on my blog or website. So that's a crash course in Twitter. If you're interested in getting some more resources and reading out more about how you can incorporate Twitter in the classroom, check out this link.